What's up guys, the Chad Champ here, and recently I've been on a binge of the Pokemon anime, as well as looking into the game slightly as well, and it really got me remembering how much of a GOAT my boy Charizard is no matter what the continuity. Though, like a lot of people, the main reason I fuck with Charizard is due to the version owned by Ash in the anime. This dude was an aura farmer from the first episode he showed up in, and kept that energy whether it was against regular or even legendary Pokemon. So I decided, why not rank Ash's Fire-type Pokemon from weakest to strongest, with the Kanto region native having a total of 7 Fire-type Pokemon, all hailing from different regions. To start us off, we have Ash's Torkoal, and while this may surprise a bunch of you, you'll know why he isn't higher soon. Torkoal's best feat is by far his performance against Brandon's Registeel, and while this would traditionally provide Torkoal with a type advantage, it should be noted that in the anime, if a Pokemon is strong enough, the type advantage doesn't really mean all that much. It should also be noted that the Frontier Brains were stronger than any gym leader Ash had ever faced up until that point, and the owner of the Battle Frontier, Scott, even said that they were every bit as strong as Agatha, who was a member of the Elite Four. Brandon is even a step above that, as he has 3 powerhouse Pokemon in the form of the Regitrio, and pretty easily beats Ash twice, even when the latter was using his Hoenn Ace, aka Sceptile. So Torkoal ultimately losing isn't even that bad, so shout out to the 4 Torkoal fans out there. The next Pokemon to make the rankings is one of Ash's only good Pokemon from the Unova region, that being Pignite. His best actual feat is defeating Cameron's Hydreigon, so he's really getting carried by the scaling from episode 68 of Pokemon Journeys, where we are told Infernape ran a gauntlet through Ash's Fire-type Pokemon as a form of special training. We are also told a bunch of times that Infernape is doing so to get stronger, both in the anime itself and supplementary material. Being as Pignite was the first Pokemon he faced against, it would make sense that he's the weakest out of that group. This also wasn't light training either, as Gary just mentioned how Infernape trains hard when he's observed him in the past, which when you take into account how he's always looking to break his limits, as well as how Ash instills a hard work ethic into his Pokemon, it would make sense that the training wasn't just light sparring. Talonflame is up next, and although it was mentioned in the same breath as Pignite when it came to fighting Infernape, I ended up putting the former above due to its decent performance against Moltres, the Fire-type member of the legendary bird trio. It's one of the few of Ash's Pokemon to actually 1v1 a legendary Pokemon, and did pretty well in the process. He also worked pretty well as a distraction against Zapdos, albeit he didn't really do much outside of dodge some attacks. Other than that, it was able to take down Alan's Unpheasant in Stalemate during the Kalos League. While Quilava doesn't do much, it should be noted that Infernape challenged him right before Charizard, so it should be up there despite its lack of showings. However, its best feat is getting a tie with Nando's Almaldo during the Sinnoh League, and I don't think it's crazy to say that he could have gotten stronger off screen, as we know that the Pokemon at Oak's lab not only train with each other per the Infernape episode, but we know that they get into a bunch of shenanigans while Ash is away, as seen in various episodes of Pokemon Chronicles. Moving on to third place, we have Ash's Alolan Fire-type, Incineroar. He was able to take down Professor Kukue's own Incineroar, which is also his ace Pokemon. The fact that it's his ace likely means that it's also his strongest, not including Tapu Koko of course, which would put it above Lucario, who was able to fight Ash's Nagandel, a Pokemon that was able to battle Tapu Koko, one of the Alolan Guardians. I know it's a fatter scaling chain, but Incineroar is from a point in the show that is pretty isolated from the main regions, with Ash only taking Pikachu to Aloha. However, Ash did return to Aloha in the final season of the anime, and because of how Professor Kukue's Incineroar performed against Pikachu, I feel like the former got stronger, and has now surpassed Ash's own Incineroar, especially since this was Pikachu right before facing off against Steven in the first round of the Masters 8 tournament too. So as strong as Incineroar is, he's just shy of that tier. Which leads us into the second placement and the overall Fire-type GOAT, Charizard. Charizard was shown to be able to stalemate Moltres in a contest of flames, and Brock and Misty thought he was way too powerful for Ash to be using on his adventures in Johto, and then, after getting humbled and growing stronger, Charizard was shown being able to fight a version of Entei that was created and powered by the collective power of the unknown. He goes on to put off a clutch win against Gary, including a win over his Blastoise, and has a pitched battle with Harrison's Blaziken, even being regarded as Ash's powerhouse up until that point. He later returns to fight Articuno in the Battle Frontier, and becomes the first of Ash's Pokemon to ever beat a legendary Pokemon. While he takes an unfortunate L to Brandon's Dusclops, which was mainly down to Ash's stupidity, it should be noted that Charizard was still one of Ash's god tiers at this point in the series. This is because Ash chose Charizard, along with Bulbasaur, Squirtle and Pikachu, as his team to use against Brandon, despite having used his Hoenn Ace, Sceptile, beforehand. This training was also done before Brandon eventually suggests that they change their battle to a 4v4 instead of the previous 1v1 format, which again means that Ash thought that the 4 Kanto native Pokemon were a better pick than his Hoenn Pokemon. This isn't too crazy, as it's a pretty big thing in Pokemon that the stronger the bond with the trainer, the more powerful a Pokemon becomes. Charizard later returns again during the Unova region, where he immediately throws down with Dragonite and is clearly on the winning side before N interrupts the battle, only for the Pokemon to throw down yet again in the next episode, this time while Dragonite is bloodlusted and is apparently at 120% power due to Team Plasma's EM machine. As mentioned earlier, Charizard is the final Fire-type Pokemon that Infernape battles during his special training, before eventually leaving to find an even stronger opponent in the form of Moltres. It's not impossible that Charizard could still be stronger than Infernape, at least in base to base, even if slightly, as we see that Gary's Blastoise performed much better against Moltres than the Fire Monkey, with this same Blastoise having lost to Charizard in the Johto League. However, I do think it's unlikely, as while Charizard could have gotten stronger between Black and White and Journeys, as we're told that Charizards seek out stronger opponents, with Ash's only battling foes that he deems worthy, he has chilled out more by the time we see him again in the final season. Meanwhile, Gary's Blastoise was travelling around the world and battling legendary Pokemon, with Ash's former rival being a part of Project Mew, and his growth is just reflected in how he's able to beat Regidrago and force Moltres to use Burn Up, which causes a Fire-type Pokemon to use up all its flames to the point it's no longer a Fire-type. However, as I was researching for this video, I came across the information that Ash's Charizard actually made its way into the game continuity. This is because back when the 3D animated version of the first Pokemon movie was released, Nintendo did a mystery gift event where you could claim Ash's Charizard, with it being confirmed to be from the latter end of Ash's journey in Kanto, and they even gave Charizard the Blaze ability. This gift was for Sword and Shield, so all I'm saying is, let me hop on real quick and I'll dethrone Leon's Charizard as the strongest and upscale the hell out of Ash's own real quick. And that leads us into our first and final place, with that being the Flame Starter from Sinnoh, Infernape. Ash's ace from the 4th gen region is by far Ash's strongest Pokemon during his adventures in Sinnoh, as even as a Chimchar, he was able to take out Paul's Ursaring, which was easily one of Ash's rivals' powerhouses, and he was able to take out multiple of Ash's Pokemon during their battle at Acuity Lake. And Chimchar even managed to beat Ursaring without triggering Blaze, the ability turned gimmick, which was really the fuel behind Chimchar's character arc. He's also the main reason that Ash's Gengar was able to get strong enough and develop Will-O-Wisp, an attack that allowed it to beat Paul's Metagross and also beat Steven's Aggron, a champion level Pokemon. We also actually see Infernape easily deflect the same attack when Gengar accidentally lets it loose against Ash after summoning it properly for the first time. And no, unlike the games, Fire-type Pokemon are not immune to the attack, as seen when Brandon's Dusclops is able to affect Charizard with the same move. This scaling allows Infernape to qualify for the peak tier of Ash's Pokemon, and proves his Sinnoh ace could have definitely participated in the final tournament of the series, if Ash decided to bring him along. All this, and I haven't even accounted for the application of Blaze onto Infernape's current power level. Back in the Sinnoh League, when Infernape fought Electivire, the latter was already pretty tired and hurt due to the damage he'd sustained from carrying the team up until that point. And then he proceeds to get pushed to the point where he can't even stand after being hit by Electivire's attack. Then, after activating Blaze, he's stated to have access power he'd never shown before, and Paul even says that he's stronger than ever. So Blaze was able to take a severely weakened Infernape beyond his peak before that point, and of course ends up taking out Electivire. The focus on Blaze was really the first time the anime created a gimmick out of an ability, and it really shows in how much it carries the Infernape line, with the power even being referred to as Infernape's true power. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it's something a little different, but I just kind of fell into a Pokemon rabbit hole for a while. Maybe I'll cover another aspect of the verse in the future, but who knows. As for now, don't forget to like and subscribe.